Over the years, I've studied many of what I would call life sciences, including health, physics, spirituality, religion, philosophy, and other topics related to our human experience. Two subjects have stood out: Ayurveda and consciousness studies. They are definitely related, and by observing our life, culture, and current events, these two subjects answer my deepest questions. Combined, they show me the what and why of it all. When I read about new or old discoveries, about healing physical and emotional problems, for instance, so many of them fit neatly into these two bodies of knowledge, describing what is going on and why. I'll try to explain. They are both exquisite, beautiful, and boundless in their scope of information. The basic underlying existence is consciousness. It is the energy that has no beginning, cannot be destroyed, and permeates everything. We usually call this God. From this consciousness springs everything: all we see, experience, touch, the universe, and all dimensions. At our very root, we are energetic beings. In Ayurveda, the 5,000-year-old body of knowledge of consciousness in ancient India, this is fundamental. It is described as a consciousness-based science. This energy is filled with all information. The building blocks of matter derived from this energy are the 5 elements: ether, fire, water, earth, and air. Ether, being space and expansion, is the container for all the other elements. Our bodies are made up of these 5 elements in our own combinations. Very briefly, each quantity of these elements dictates our mind-body type. This explains our individual experiences to the same exposure. For example, one food will give someone heartburn, but it won't to another person. The person more sensitive to it may have a stronger fire element, creating too much heat or acid. Some is needed for good digestion. Even a lack of fire could cause a different type of indigestion. As I watch all these drug ads, it always makes me think about how our pharmaceutical industry conducts tests on a drug across different body types. And if that drug helps 55% of them, it's considered a success. Even though each person's makeup is unique, doctors prescribe drugs based on these test results, assuming we are all the same, rather than considering each patient's unique constitution. I believe the healthcare providers, by and large, are good-hearted and service-oriented. The doctors, nurses, techs, therapists, etc. I, by no means, write this to be critical of the men and women called to the healing arts. I want to describe what I have observed from my and perhaps other patients' perspectives. I don't even like the word patient, with its connotation of a subnormal, less than vital human being. But first, let me share how we might think of our bodies. I was raised by a father who always was sharing his observations with me. He very eloquently showed me the magical and inherently profound qualities of our physicality. He often pointed out how amazing it was that our bodies could heal, grow, digest, sense, and perceive the world, etc. From his influence, I developed a deep respect and awareness of our bodies. By the time I was in my 20s, I was listening deeply to my body's messages. I became curious about all the modalities that created healing and well-being. I learned that to have a happy, fulfilling life, one needs well-being in all areas: emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial. When these are all in optimal balance, each of us may live up to our highest potential in the way that we were meant to: vibrant, fulfilled, and purposeful. My self-study led me to favor modalities that looked holistically at the human body. seeing the physical condition as an outward reflection of a person's level of well-being, and vice versa. I was struck by how our thoughts and emotions are simultaneously converted into chemicals that flood our systems, and that, over time, these can create well-being or create conditions ripe with vulnerability to disease. How feeling love and happiness translate into a boosted immune system, more energy, and a sense of comfort in our skin. How sadness, pessimism, and stress cause imbalances, lethargy, and suppressed immune function, even leading to poor self-care. Therefore, I believe our healthcare industry needs to focus on well-being, from the moment a patient walks into the reception area to when they are back home with the feelings left from the experience. For 40 years, I've counseled individuals and couples about their financial lives, but I've usually ended up hearing about other parts of their lives as well. I hear about the endless visits to several different doctors' offices as they age. I see the multiple drugs they are prescribed when I visit their homes and notice the sense of this eventuality they seem to acquire as a result of aging. I see the loss of well-being that many experience. Many people have negative experiences throughout the medical system, from waiting in a packed room for a name or a number to be called, which may render the impression that they aren't important, being ushered into a cold, sterile room to wait alone for a medical professional who is likely overscheduled and may seem preoccupied with the rest of their work, to the expectation to disrobe, disclose, and reveal the most private things of their lives without much warmth or compassion. This can significantly affect well-being. Of course, there are doctors and healthcare providers who do create a warm, safe experience. Doctors today have unprecedented overhead, including crazy malpractice insurance premiums that force them to pack their schedule to make a profit. I do believe Western medicine is invaluable. I just see ways it could be better. I was watching a show the other day about childhood obesity problems in America. They had a panel of experts on the show discussing possible solutions. There was an underlying assumption that the solution would be provided from without, from some governmental or other authority. The proposed actions included commercials, counseling parents, and school programs such as fitness. But what if our healthcare system were structured to foster vibrant health and well-being? We turn on the computer or a radio and are assaulted with ads and stories of terrible diseases, drugs, and messages about pain, incapacity, depression, vulnerability, cancer, threats, fights against diseases, and more, resulting in an atmosphere of fear. This is actually creating more stress and anxiety and lessening our sense of well-being. We seem to wait until we have a full-blown condition or disease to take action, to relieve symptoms, to heal. And this seems so backward. I've always thought the emphasis should be on preventing disorders and fostering well-being from the start. The resources should be focused on keeping people healthy and guiding their daily lives toward well-being. Western medicine's definition of health is the absence of symptoms, but the absence of vitality and well-being, of which there are only the vaguest of physical symptoms, is almost always the precursor of physical illness. The body begins to fall out of balance. Systems and processes become inhibited, and each person's predisposition to certain ailments becomes activated. My mind expanded on this idea, and I began picturing a world where the most common health-related services could include centers that offer coaching on daily practices to gently prompt people to a robust life with physical ease. Only as a last resort would anyone consider medical intervention like drugs or surgery. The medical community would be small because health would be flourishing among our population. Schools would be mandated to provide healthy, clean, fresh food. The future of our children is at stake. Physical programs would be reinstated not only for general health, but also for the growing brain's need for movement to develop properly. As the country moves toward this vision, we could eventually reduce the size of agencies like the FDA. Some of the money that now goes to finding more drugs to cure cancer and other diseases would be redirected to creating perfect health and studying why disease occurs, not how to violently blast the body with chemicals or cutting the body open trying to kill the disease. Everything would shift from a focus on symptoms and illness to a focus on our own dynamic mind-body gestalt, which at every moment balances all our systems and carries out a myriad of functions with the finesse of a finely orchestrated symphony. Each person would be gently cared for by a health provider who held reverence not only for the patient's body, but also for their emotional life and sense of well-being. Quality of life would be foremost in consideration before procedures, drugs, or treatments are considered. Death is a natural part of life. In the Western part of the world, it is talked about sparingly, feared, and often delayed at any cost. We need to build a better relationship with death and better understand its inevitability. We need to embrace this topic in everyday conversation. Quality of life should be emphasized over quantity, the well-being of the individual over the lengthening of life. After all my studies, research, and exploration of a healthy life, I came across Ayurveda in the 1990s. It hits all the right notes. It's a consciousness-based science, seeing the human being as a gestalt on all levels, mental, spiritual, and physical. And each of us has a unique combination of the elements in the physical world. Ayurveda, in simple terms, is a system for restoring the mind-body to their original balance of elements so our whole system can function the way it was meant to, with well-being, vitality, joy, and inspiration. Attaining a sense of well-being and maintaining it for as long as we have here on earth is the optimal condition. Now prepare to meditate. Set a timer for your decided time. Get comfy with your back straight, your face relaxed, and your hands resting on your lap. Bring in your own ritual now, or choose one I've given you in the past. Surrender, witness your breath, observe your body. Finally, repeat your mantra silently to focus on your breath. Today's meditation is on the body, this miracle of conscious matter that moves and breathes with you. Relax your shoulders, your face, your cheeks, your arms. Feel as if a heavy blanket is surrounding you, holding you in a perfect upright position on your seat. Scan your body for any tightness, any discomfort. Embrace these spots with your attention, sending love, loosening, observing, and noticing it dissipate as you give it your recognition that its message is heard. Some may be scars from the past, which could trigger memories to surface. This, too, is to be witnessed, honored, and allowed to move on. Have a lovely meditation.